Hello there everyone. Welcome to class. Today we are taking a look at the Doctor Who episode Cold Blood. So sit back while I talk about all the things that stood out to me in this episode and tell you why, as well as ranking this episode and at the end wrapping it around and giving a moral of the story. So, the first thing that I would like to talk about is this moment right here, just of Rory saying he trusts the Doctor with his life.
I promise you, Ambrose, I trust the Doctor with my life. We stick to his plan.
It's very nice to see that these two characters have started to become friends, and just overall, it points to a good story arc for Rory, both in his relationship and accepting the Doctor, but also this episode does a lot good for Rory kind of stepping up and being a man, which I think is really good.
Who speaks for the apes?
Don't tell them what's happened.
I speak for the humans, some of us anyway.
Now, another thing I want to point out is the Doctor asks for celery. This, of course, being a homage to Peter Davis's Doctor, who always wore a stick of celery on him. Why did Peter Davis always have a stick of celery? I think they give a reason. I have not seen any of his episodes, so I do not know what that reason is. But I was able to recognize what they were referencing here. So that's pretty cool. Also, having celery is a vegetable, celery, a vegetable. You know? The next thing I wanted to talk about is a large part of this episode is the captured Silurian taunting and, really getting to the humans. And I quite like that. It very much reminded me of something like The Twilight Zone, which is one of my favorite-ish shows. But The Twilight Zone is very good at showing, people turning against each other and stuff like that. Hopefully that sentence made sense. But anyway, we had the father offering to help the Silurian escape if she would, give him the cure to the tongue venom, green veining, poison stuff. And then, of course, we have the boy's mother who ended up killing the Silurian. But I really liked the way that all went down and how it sort of showed the darkness in humanity. And again, it was very Twilight Zone. It was very the David Tennant episode Midnight, which is one of my all-time favorite episodes of Doctor Who.
It's inside his head.
It's inside his head.
It killed the driver.
It killed the driver.
And the mechanic.
And the mechanic.
And now it wants us.
And now it wants us.
Said so.
Mostly because it's basically an episode of The Twilight Zone in a lot of ways. So anyway, that's what I liked is how the Silurian that they had captured was taunting and getting to everyone. And just how she didn't want to come to a conclusion. She didn't want to fix any problems or anything like that. She was just so set on going to war against the humans that, she was just egging them on and stuff like that. I liked it. I thought it was very good. On that note, I want to say I just love the usage of the Silurians. Silurians? Am I saying that right?
Silurian?
Big fan of Third Doctor stuff. Loved the episode where they showed up and the Third Doctor had to deal with them.
Hello. Are you a Silurian?
Anyway, it's cool to see them. Their makeup all looks amazing. Their designs are amazing. I like the metal masks that are kind of like, you know, molded to their face. Very cool, very pretty design. I like them. I like the usage of them. I like all that good old stuff. So, another thing that just sort of I thought was funny, kind of made me laugh, when they're having this meeting between the Solarians and the humans to try and figure out how they can coexist. There's a shot where the one human woman is like, you know, working through things, and Amy is just like sitting there with her head down on the table, like she's just, you know, disinterested or like falling asleep. Or maybe she's gotten a bit of a headache. That made me laugh. I just thought that was quite funny. So, with that being said, that's everything that I have to talk about in this episode. And with that, we're gonna jump right on to the moral of the story. And the moral of this story is what the doctor tells the mother at the end of the episode, and that is, an eye for an eye isn't the way.
You could have let those things shoot me. You saved me.
An eye for an eye. It's never the way. Now you show your son how wrong you were. Now there's another way. You make him the best of humanity. In the way you couldn't be.
And that's very good. I actually just talked about, in a recent episode of Doctor Who that just came out, I'll try and, if I remember, I'll try and link that episode in this video. But, you know, it just, I found a similar moral in that episode, where it was like, you know, I'm not gonna keep hatred in my heart, even though this person did me wrong. So anyway, my point is an eye for an eye is not the way to go about things. Sometimes to get out of a conflict, you have to be the bigger man and say, okay, if I punch you every time you punch me, we're just gonna keep punching each other for all eternity. I'm not actually gonna keep punching you, right? You ripped out my eyeball. I could rip out your eyeball, but then you would just, you know, rip out my other eyeball. And then, you know, it would just go on forever, right? So sometimes you have to be the bigger person and just say, yeah, whatever, you know, you did these things wrong to me. What does that matter? And I just want to end this video by putting in just a little bit of scripture where Jesus talks about basically the same thing. You have heard that it is said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. Well, thank you all for listening. Class dismissed. I will see you again next week. Class dismissed. I'm gonna go eat some celery.